Trump administration weighs options as protests intensify inside Iran. The political situation in Iran is entering a critical phase as nationwide protests continue to grow, drawing international attention and raising serious concerns inside Washington. According to multiple U.S. officials, the Trump administration is actively reviewing a range of possible responses as unrest spreads across major Iranian cities. While no final decision has been made, discussions within the White House and the Pentagon are ongoing. Officials familiar with the matter say President Donald Trump has not yet selected a preferred course of action, and all options remain under review due to the rapidly changing situation on the ground. U.S. Response under review. Sources indicate that U.S. defense planners are evaluating both military and non-military tools. These discussions include conventional military responses as well as non-lethal alternatives, such as cyber operations that could disrupt Iran's ability to restrict internet access. One major concern for U.S. officials is Iran's sweeping communications blackout, which has made it difficult to assess the true scale of the demonstrations. Independent internet monitoring organizations report that Iran has severely restricted online access for days at a time, preventing protesters from organizing and limiting the flow of information to the outside world. Neither the White House nor the Pentagon publicly commented when asked about these deliberations, though major U.S. media outlets have confirmed that contingency planning is underway. Inside Iran, protests have persisted despite strong warnings from the country's leadership. Demonstrations have been reported in cities such as Tehran, Mashhad, Yazd, and other urban centers. Due to restricted communications, details remain limited, but videos shared by Iranian media outlets based outside the country show large crowds chanting slogans calling for major political change. Some footage appears to show government buildings damaged or set on fire, though the full context of these scenes cannot be independently verified. Protesters have reportedly expressed frustration with economic hardship, political restrictions, and long-standing grievances against the ruling system. What began as economic protests linked to the sharp decline of Iran's currency has evolved into a broader movement involving merchants, workers, students, and other segments of society. Symbols of deeper political change. Several videos circulating online show demonstrators displaying symbols associated with Iran's former monarchy, which was overthrown during the 1979 Islamic Revolution. In some cases, protesters were seen holding historical flags or writing slogans calling for the return of a different political system. These images suggest that for some participants, the demonstrations are no longer just about economic reform, but about a fundamental transformation of governance in Iran. Iranian government's position. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian addressed the situation on Saturday, stating that his administration is working to improve living conditions by tackling corruption, bribery, and economic inefficiencies. He also claimed Iran is facing what he described as an economic war, driven by foreign pressure. In remarks published by Iranian state-aligned media, Pezeshkian accused unnamed media groups and online platforms of undermining government efforts, though he did not provide specific details. Meanwhile, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, has taken a firm stance, warning that the government will not retreat in the face of unrest. State television broadcasts included warnings urging people to remain indoors, reinforcing fears of a tougher security response. Rising casualty concerns. Human rights organizations have raised alarms about the growing number of casualties. Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch have confirmed dozens of deaths, including women and children, during the initial days of the protests. Other monitoring groups report higher numbers, though figures vary due to limited access and communication restrictions. Rights groups warn that prolonged internet shutdowns often coincide with intensified crackdowns. Some organizations claim hospitals in multiple Iranian cities are overwhelmed with injured demonstrators, while eyewitness reports describe widespread gunfire during nighttime protests in certain regions. Trump's warnings and international reaction. President Trump has issued strong public warnings, stating that the U.S. would respond forcefully if Iranian authorities escalate violence against protesters. His comments, shared publicly, emphasized that Washington is closely monitoring developments. Secretary of State Marco Rubio echoed that message, expressing U.S. support for what he described as the courage of the Iranian people. International pressure is also building. Foreign ministers from Australia, Canada, and the European Union released a joint statement backing the protesters and condemning the use of force, arbitrary arrests, and intimidation by Iranian authorities. Iran pushes back against foreign influence claims. Iranian officials have long accused foreign governments of fueling internal unrest. While authorities initially acknowledged some economic grievances, state-aligned media increasingly describe demonstrators as violent agitators rather than peaceful protesters. Iranian outlets linked to the Revolutionary Guard reported multiple arrests, claiming security forces detained armed individuals near Tehran. These claims have not been independently verified. At an event in Beirut, Iran's foreign minister stated that the government initially engaged in dialogue with various social and economic groups but later concluded that foreign interference played a role in reigniting protests. Calls for continued demonstrations. Meanwhile, opposition figures outside Iran are urging demonstrators to continue. In a video message, exiled former Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi called on Iranians to maintain protests and encouraged workers in critical industries, including oil and gas, to consider nationwide strikes. His message reflects growing coordination among opposition voices abroad, though the actual impact inside Iran remains uncertain due to limited communication channels. What comes next? As protests continue and international scrutiny increases, the situation remains fluid and unpredictable. U.S. officials stress that no final decisions have been made, but preparations are ongoing as events unfold. With Iran's leadership signaling no willingness to compromise and demonstrators showing determination despite risks, the coming days may prove decisive, not only for Iran's future, but also for regional stability and U.S. foreign policy.